I sat there watching my older brother swirl a $900 glass of vintage wine he had bought specifically to make me feel small, completely unaware that he was drinking it inside a restaurant empire that I owned. It was a Saturday night in downtown Chicago, and the atmosphere inside the Obsidian Room, the city's most exclusive modern steakhouse, was electric. We were there to celebrate my dad's retirement after 40 years of working middle management at a logistics firm. My brother, Carter, had insisted on hosting the dinner here. He's a hedge fund manager, pulling in maybe $350,000 a year, and he never misses an opportunity to remind the family exactly how much better he is doing than the rest of us. He sat at the head of the table, next to his wife, Chloe, both of them draped in designer labels from head to toe. I took the only empty seat left at the far end. "Glad you could make it, Nedra," Carter smirked, barely looking up from the leather-bound menu. "Did you have to beg your boss to get the night off from seating people?" "I work in restaurant management." That's what I had told my family for the last 7 years. And to Carter, that meant I was basically a glorified hostess. "I made sure my schedule was clear for Dad's retirement," I said evenly, giving my dad a warm smile. "Congratulations, Dad. You earned this." Dad smiled back, looking a bit uncomfortable. He had always been the kindest of the bunch, but he never stood up to Carter's overwhelming ego. "Well, order whatever you want, Dad," Carter announced loudly, making sure the neighboring tables could hear. "Only the best tonight. I'm covering it. Though, Nedra, you might want to stick to a salad. I know your budget is probably a little tight, and I don't want you getting used to a lifestyle you can't afford." Chloe giggled into her napkin. My mom just sighed. "Carter, don't tease your sister. Sneedy, we tried to tell you the food industry was a dead end, but there's no shame in managing a shift. Honest work is honest work." "Exactly," Carter interrupted. "Let the big boys handle the high-level corporate strategy. Managing seating charts is fine for you. Speaking of which, wait until you see the bill tonight. It's probably going to be more than you make in a month, Nedra." I didn't say a word. I just took a sip of my sparkling water. Carter was 32, and ever since his first big promotion, he had been absolutely insufferable. When I was 22, I told my family I wanted to build my own hospitality group. They laughed. They told me it was a fool's dream, so I stopped talking about it. I let them believe I had settled for a low-level management job. Our server approached the table. Her name was Alina, a brilliant young woman who had been working at this flagship location for 4 years. She was impeccable. "Good evening," she said with a warm, professional smile. "Are we ready to order, or do we need more time?" "Bring us another bottle of the Opus One," Carter commanded, without looking at her. "And for my sister, just tap water is fine." "Actually," I spoke up, locking eyes with Elena, "I'll have the 2015 Domaine de la Romani Conti, please, and I'll be ordering the Wagyu Tomahawk." The table went dead silent. Mom gasped softly. "Nedra," she hissed, leaning in, "that wine is $1,200 a bottle." Carter's face flushed bright red. "What are you doing? You can't afford that. You're going to bankrupt yourself trying to pretend you're on my level." "I can afford whatever I want, Carter," I replied, my voice dangerously calm. "But thank you so much for your financial advice." Before Carter could explode, a man in a pristine white chef's coat walked up to our table. It was Chef Julian Vance, a culinary legend with 2 Michelin stars to his name, and the creative mastermind behind the Obsidian Room's menu. "Good evening," Chef Julian said, his booming voice catching everyone's attention. He smiled at my dad. "Happy retirement, sir." Then he turned entirely to me, his posture shifting to one of deep respect. "Ms. Perez, I wanted to come out and personally thank you. The final paperwork cleared on Thursday. The acquisition is complete." Carter blinked, looking between me and the world-famous chef like he'd missed a joke. "Acquisition? What are you talking about?" Chef Julian looked at Carter, slightly amused. "For the acquisition of the Obsidian Restaurant Group, of course, all 15 locations across the country. Your sister's expansion strategy is nothing short of brilliant. We are thrilled to have her as our new owner and CEO." Mom dropped her fork. It hit the porcelain plate with a sharp clink. Chloe's mouth physically hung open. Carter looked like he was going to pass out. "Owner? You own this place?" I own all 15 of them, I corrected smoothly. The flagship here in Chicago, the 3 in New York, the 2 in Miami, and the others scattered across the West Coast. Total acquisition cost was about $52 million. The chain brings in roughly $75 million in annual revenue. Dad stared at me, his hands shaking slightly. Nedra, when did this happen? You told us you were a manager. I managed my first bistro when I was 22, Dad. The one you all refused to invest in because it was an unrealistic dream. I lived in my Honda Civic for 8 months. I ate instant noodles and worked 18-hour days. I learned every single position: cooking, hosting, accounting, supply chain logistics. I flipped that bistro, sold it for triple what I paid, and bought 2 more. Then I bought 5. I built a portfolio of 18 independent high-end restaurants under the Perez Hospitality Group. Carter's voice was completely strangled. 18 restaurants? I sold them last month to finance the cash purchase of the Obsidian Group. I wanted a legacy brand. Elena, our waitress, returned to the table. She carefully poured my wine, then looked at me with genuine emotion in her eyes. Miss Perez, I just wanted to say thank you again for the medical leave and for covering my daughter's hospital bills. You didn't have to do that. Family comes first, Elena. I smiled at her. Take whatever time you need. Your job is safe. As she walked away, Mom looked at me, tears welling up in her eyes. You paid her medical bills? Nedra, you just gave away tens of thousands of dollars? I invested in employee loyalty, I stated. She'll work for me for the next 2 decades because she knows I value her as a human being. It's called leadership. I turned my attention back to Carter, who was staring at his untouched steak. The arrogance had completely drained from his face, replaced by a profound, uncomfortable realization. For 7 years, I said, my voice steady but cutting through the silence of our table, I sat at family dinners and listened to you mock my little food hobby. Every time you bragged about a bonus, every time you bought a new luxury car to impress people you don't even like, I smiled and ate my dinner. I let you think you were the winner. I took a slow, deliberate sip of my wine. It tasted like absolute victory. You make a great salary, Carter, but you work for someone else's vision. I built a $75 million empire. I employ over 400 people with full health benefits and retirement matching. I created careers. So please, don't ever lecture me about fiscal responsibility again. Dad reached out and gently grabbed my hand. His eyes were shining. Nedra, I am so incredibly proud of you. I should have believed in you. I should have supported you. I'm so sorry. It's okay, Dad. I squeezed his hand. Your doubt didn't destroy me. It fueled me. It made me bulletproof. When the evening finally ended, the bill arrived, and Carter instinctively reached for his wallet, his hand trembling slightly. Put that away, I told him, standing up to grab my coat. It's a family dinner at my restaurant. It's on the house. But maybe next time, leave the ego at the door. As I walked out into the cool Chicago night air, getting into the back of my waiting car, I didn't feel angry anymore. I just felt free. Sometimes the greatest revenge isn't destroying someone else. It's building yourself up so high that their negativity can't even reach your foundation. Use the doubt. Let their underestimation be your ultimate advantage. Stay silent, do the work, and let your success make all the noise.